afternoon, everyone. I hope you guys had a good lunch. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope I'm not putting you to sleep with my speech, so I'll try to make it interesting. Welcome and thank you for being here. And I'd like to start, by the way, I want to say that my name is Megan Myungwon Lee. I'm a Korean American working for a Japanese company. We're going to talk about diversity a little later, but I just wanted to have that introduction as part of my starting remarks. So I'd like to start by asking you all a question. How many of you can remember what you wanted to do when you're growing up, way back when you're about 8 or 10 years ago? Can you show a hand? Okay. And now how many of you are actually doing what you thought you'd be doing back then? Okay, thank you. Thank you for the good spirit. The truth is very few of us. It says 6% statistically doing the jobs. And I'm not moving the slides, so sorry about that. Okay, better. So only 6% of us statistically doing the jobs that we thought we would do when we were growing up. And that number is only going to decrease. And I think the audience here knows why. I don't think I need to explain. Because of technology disruption that many of you are driving, and accelerated rate of change is so dramatic that the now estimated that as many as 65% of kids entering grade school today will be doing the work that we don't know right now, that doesn't exist right now. I don't need to tell you this because the participants here today are really driving and accelerating the change. So I think you get this right away. I know we have a very diverse audience today, someone like me from a corporation or someone trying to start a new business. It made it a little bit challenging for me because of the different interest. But I think there is one thing that unites us is that we understand the need to leverage the technology for our future needs. And we are accelerating the disruption. So for years, HR professionals like me used to ask this famous question. I'm not sure if some of you have asked this question as well, that where you want to be, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I wanted to know that the candidates interview, how well they would align with their ambition and interest would align what we have in as part of our strategy. So again, I'd like to ask you by show of hands, how many of you are actually doing what you thought you would be doing 5 years ago? Okay. Wow, that's a lot. And I don't ask this question anymore. Thank you for participating, Sai. I don't ask this question anymore. Thank you. I don't ask this question anymore because it sounds silly now. And many of today's jobs didn't exist 10 or even 2 or 5 years ago. I see in even our companies, and our company is 100 years old, Panasonic, to be exact, and we come up with new jobs every year. And we are hiring, we are creating positions that we didn't have a couple of years ago. That didn't happen when I started my career a long, long time ago. But even 5, 6 years ago, I didn't see that happening. But we see that every day, every day. And this year, I have created, just in HR, 3 different jobs that we didn't have last year. I think that's incredible. So one of my favorite authors, Clayton Christensen, it's hard to pronounce, best known of his book of disruptive innovation, expresses the same sentiment. In his recent book, How Will You Measure Your Life? He says, I had thought the destination was important, but it turned out it was the journey. I strongly recommend, if you don't know him, that you search him or read or hear what he has to say. For a long time, his research was about how to create a disruptive innovation by either creating new business or defending successful business from game changers. Later in his life and recently, he's talking more about having a life strategy early in your career and early in your life. He says if strategy is important for business and innovation, and if it's important for business, it should be important for your personal life as well. And your life strategy should be rooted in your personal values. Today's topic is cultivating innovation, as Connie introduced me. But as Clayton said, I'd like to shift the gear a little and make it personal. So this is a picture of my family 40 years ago. I'm not sure if you can guess which one I am. So today, I'm a head of HR and strategic initiatives for Panasonic. We do about $13 billion in North America. We have 27,000 employees in US and Mexico and Canada. We hired 5,000 employees last year. And it would not surprise, it would surprise no doubt my colleagues that my childhood dream was to become a housewife when I was growing up. I absolutely did not have any professional aspiration at all. I majored in art, and I was growing up. I wanted to get married, and I wanted to create a warm and loving family that my parents had provided for me. I wanted to be clear that I'm not saying at all that I'm disappointed with where I am today. I'm very happy and satisfied with where I am now. I just wasn't planning on doing what I do 40 years ago. And I shared this with you because I'm a good example of how dramatically change can happen as long as you're ready for that journey. And that journey can also be rewarding and satisfying only if you are flexible and open to make those adjustments along the way. I have to say, by the way, I cannot walk around the stage. I have this phobia, and I'm sure some of you do too, that I cannot do the talk like TED Talks. And as I was practicing the speech yesterday and today, and trust me, I did practice for this. And I thought about walking around the stage, and I said to myself, oh my God, what if I just completely forget my lines? So I decided to take a safer path and make sure that I deliver the message that I wanted to share with you. So if I seem a little nervous, this is not something that, this is not the talent that my mother gave me. All right, so moving on. I started as a bilingual secretary with Panasonic 30 years ago, and I was lucky to have that job with a degree in art from a college in Seoul, from Seoul, Korea. And the only skill I had at that time was typing skills. Some of you may not even know what a typewriter looks like. That was my only skill that got me a job with Panasonic. And I was bilingual, but I didn't even speak English very well then. But in 30 plus years of learning, I immersed myself in the culture that had been established way back in 1930 by this man, Konosuke Matsushita. And he was a business leader of extraordinary passion and vision, and someone who was significantly ahead of his time. And thanks to his leadership, Panasonic has been a purpose-driven organization from the very beginning. And one with a founding ideal that is evergreen to improve people's life and make the world a better place. So one of our new brand platform in North America reflects the decades-old vision, yet with the focus on updatable technology platform that is empower our customers and their customers to improve their lives in many different ways. And we create that technology that moves us towards a better life and better world. I know we have few partners from Japan, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with Konosuke Matsushita as a great business and philosopher, but it certainly spoke to me as I started and still enjoy the career with Panasonic. So Mr. Matsushita's management philosophy was created way back in 1930s. Yet his writings and teachings contain many of the ideas that are being taught in advanced management schools 80 years later to this date. And ideas like fairness and honesty, humility, adaptability, gratitude is not something that US companies readily practiced 20, 30 years ago. But I think we realized that a lot of, especially larger companies with trying to adapt with the younger generation of works that seek to work for a company with purpose, this is really the core of our foundation, and we're very proud of that. And his 7 business principles still appear on the back of our business card. And this is no accident that his philosophy is as profound and modern and now as ever. And Mr. Matsushita was able to grow Panasonic from a small startup in 1918, where his first product was on dual light socket. I don't know if you can see it. On the left corner. That was our first product that he created with his wife in 1918 when he started his business. So his leadership allowed us to grow and expand around the world, including here in North America, where the brand still has tremendous equity and goodwill, and people still think of us as a consumer electronics company. And I'm sure many of you still know that, but we don't sell TVs anymore. Our business has evolved into something very different. Where we are now leveraging our core consumer technologies into integrated technology solutions from B2B to even business to government, and helping them navigate disruption in their industries and deliver better experience in their customers and their end users. So in fact, our business here in North America has evolved much faster and more dramatic than most people realize. So in 2008, our business was about $8 billion. And our business was 50-50 in consumer electronics and B2B solutions area. And our former chairman of North America is here, Mr. Joe Taylor. So he lived through, he was my boss until 2 years ago. I was never your boss. And he lived through the transition and grew our company to be bigger and larger in revenue, but totally a B2B and solution company, and managed to still grow the business. We're now $13 billion this year, or last year, 2018, and our business in consumer now is about not even $500 million, and 95% of our business coming from B2B. I think it's remarkable. So why did we change so dramatically? I'd like to think that we were prepared for this change, and I think we're lucky too, but it was a lot of hard work and a little bit of luck. But I think we definitely had to change, and we had such a sense of urgency to make sure that we do not lose the momentum and make sure we stay relevant in North America. And North America, Panasonic is actually leading the transformation of Panasonic globally, because we're the first one to completely transform our business into more focus on B2B and realize that we're not going to stay competitive in consumer electronics. So this is why we embrace disruption and cultivating a culture of innovation that is so critical. And the sense of urgency I have now, and I know the innovation and collaboration and all that sounds really good, and we talk about it all the time, but as someone who worked for Panasonic for 30 years in human resources for a 100-year-old company, the sense of urgency I have now is no doubt heightened every year or every month, because the demand from business is changing so dramatically, and more so the employees' needs for an organization, especially a larger organization like this, is changing every day. I love this remark from our founder, that as we try to keep up with the changes, he said a long time ago that I've not failed, I just found 10,000 different ways that didn't work. Isn't this great? someone who was so successful had the foresight to admit that he just failed, and he knew that how failing and failing fast and often is the key to innovation. So our work in Japan and elsewhere on smart city initiatives and traffic management technology led us to develop a relationship with the city of Denver in Colorado, ultimately creating a series of joint public and private initiatives. We built a state-of-art facility that we opened about 3 years ago, and we've been working with the Colorado Department of Transportation on deploying the very first intelligent transportation system that will revolutionize traffic management operations throughout the state, and ultimately improving roadway efficiencies, and most importantly, reducing crashes, injuries, and fatalities. So I'd like to show a short video that shows how that works. All right, you probably had no idea that we're involved in something like this with the government, with the city of Denver and Colorado. And we are expanding the relationship going beyond just the state of Colorado. So these are the anticipated benefits of the project in Denver and why there is so much promise of extending this technology solution to the rest of the country. And we're working 2 and 3 other states to expand this system. Without incurring the expense of expanding the roadways, Denver is expecting to realize 400% in roadway capacity through the deployment of this technology. And they estimate that crashes will be reduced by about 80%. I think that's remarkable. And improving the roadway throughput, by improving roadway throughput and efficiency, people will spend less time sitting in traffic. I read somewhere that we spend, including myself, spend about 100 hours a year sitting in traffic when there's a congestion. And by reducing congestion, we're also helping to reduce emission and lessen the environmental impact of traffic. So V2X represents a potential game changer, and it came about through trial and errors that we had, but we were willing to work that through and create values for our customers in B2B areas. And as you can see, we can't rely on our base businesses. And that's why we don't sell TVs anymore in US. And we were at one point had a $4 billion in revenue in our consumer business in 2008. And now we're completely shifted to make sure that we stay relevant and grow. And we need to pursue strategic initiatives like our EV business and game changers like the Sirius program that I just shared with you. Speaking of our EV, or electric vehicle, do you guys notice the picture? How many of you know? No? Okay. Thank you. Speaking of our EV, electric vehicles, battery business, did you know that Gigafactory up in Reno, Nevada, we partner with providing, we're the sole provider of their lithium-ion batteries plant, and that's a joint venture between us and Tesla Motors, is the largest manufacturing plant on any kind on Earth. And it's not completed yet, and once that's completed, it is massive as is, it will be incredible. You also may not know that Panasonic is the global leader in lithium-ion battery technology. This is a quite different business for us, but at the same time, getting back to our founder's core mission of staying true to our core, committing ourselves to the progress of society and the improvement of people's lives, becoming the leader in green transportation is a logical application of our technology and manufacturing ability. And speaking of our EV, here at the Gigafactory, we have about 450 engineers working from Japan with right now 3,000 employees we hired locally, including the former Las Vegas city bartenders. Reno itself is not a large city, and we had a really difficult time hiring resources to really keep that factory launched. And it was a perfect example of diverse and dynamic workforce showing the ability to learn, grow, and adapt while helping our company to do the same. So I'd like to introduce a person who was responsible for this massive recruiting and staffing. Tina Slattery is a director of our talent acquisition. Tina has a really interesting career history. We hired her when she was 19 years old, when she was going to Rutgers, and we hired as an intern. And she left us once, a few years later, and came back, left again, and came back again. When she left us last time, I told her, Tina, I'm not going to say goodbye to you anymore, because I know you'll come back. When we were tasked to hire 300 employees in Reno a month 2 years ago, we knew that we had to do something different. So we called Tina back, and we created a project team with internal and external resources, and she was able to make it happen. And now we have 3,500 employees on site working 24 hours, 7 days a week. The turnover is higher. I have to say that keeping the employees focused and the retention is extremely difficult. But for now, we're doing the production as we committed to do with our partner, Tesla Motors. So the success of initiatives really underscores the value of diversity, not just in terms of age, gender, and race, but different way of thinking, values, and background and ideas. I see you guys believe in the value of diversity, but I cannot express enough how a company like us to stay relevant. The power of diversity is really important. And personally, as you can see, it's the most important commitment for me that I can do for the company that I work for, Panasonic. So I'd like to show you another short video. This is my favorite. So we created this with the employees for our company, and it kind of expresses really the message that we want to say. I don't know about you. Every time I see that video, it makes me a little teary. So our founder has said, we make people before we make products. And we really believe that mission, and that's what we are trying to do at Panasonic. So I'd like to talk a little bit about my professional field. I know Enterprise 2.0 focuses on HR and technology part 2. I always thought HR was coming kind of late into the technology and automation and all that. And we started, at least when I started, we had a title of personnel manager, and we kind of evolved into business partners, and now we'd like to call ourselves strategic partner. And that is happening all because of the technology evolution. And I believe it in the service delivery that we do for our business leaders and employees. This is our HR management spectrum that we work with. And this is really interesting that about 5, 6, or even 10 years ago, we were really focusing on creating financial efficiencies, leveraging HR. And that meant making HR more removed and really supporting the business leaders who can really improve the profit and bottom line and remove the services from everyday employees. With the technology, we can really customize and personalize the services that reach to all employees. This is happening in recent 1 to 2 years. And this is what we're really focused on doing because we all know that unemployment rate is really low. And the key talent, whether unemployment is rate low or high, the key talent is someone that you will have a very difficult time recruiting and retain regardless of the employment rate. And we would like to make their work experience personal, customized, and appreciated. I read this, and I don't even know what $500 billion look like. But I think we all know that this engaged employees cost company a lot of money, hitting direct the bottom line. So the partnership we have with Plug and Play, and we've been working with Plug and Play at least more than 10 years, is really important for an old company like this because we don't get a chance to be exposed to new and different and evolving technology or new ideas. And we really cherish the relationship we have with Plug and Play, and even the fact that I'm here and I'll be meeting you with some of the guys after this, because that's the very effective way for us to be exposed to different ideas and startups. So, and this is our technology roadmap for Panasonic in North America. We started working with Workday when they were really new. We were their 200th customer. And when we were making that decision, it was really risky because they were not proven to be effective. But we took a chance because we had a business needs that we had to solve. We had a growing employee population outside of US. And we needed a technology that can support their needs and business needs. So we started Workday, and now this is the roadmap. And I have to say, 60% of these companies are very young or started as startups. For a company like us, working with startups is very difficult because all the gruesome procurement process that we have to go through with procurement and IT, it's not easy. But we take a chance, not only because to improve the bottom line, but really, like I said before, really engage our employees in a customized way and make sure that employees' work experience with Panasonic is meaningful and exciting. So we did all. I believe curiosity is the foundation that enables innovation at all levels. Without curiosity, we cannot learn. I cannot learn. Without curiosity, we cannot make an authentic personal relationships. And I believe that is the foundation of any innovation or collaboration. I know I'm doing a little bit too much of marketing of our founder, but Konosuke Matsushita, before he died, when he was asked, who do you hire? What's your hiring criteria? And he said, I hire with someone with charming personality and luck. KM himself was not charming, and he didn't have a lot of luck. when he couldn't even finish grade school. And he was so weak when he was a doctor told his mother that your boy probably will not live until 30 years old. When he died in 92 years old, he had 300,000 employees with a $70 billion global business, and he was 92 years old. His favorite value is a childlike curiosity, he said. That's the most important value I have. And with that, he was able to make his own luck and became a charming individual. That helps. And so I said I started as a bilingual secretary. And today I have this honor, and as you can tell, I was very nervous. And as if I know something important for you to offer. And I hope I didn't waste your time. But Panasonic also started 100 years ago with a small light bulb socket. And we were able to evolve into something we have now, having a global enterprise and succeeding and growing in North America. I firmly believe that curiosity and humility is the key to personal and professional innovation. And with that, I'd like to end my speech. Thank you.